Okay, so this isn't the one thing that's going to close that gap, but it's a very important part of what you all do as a board. And so we're going to begin, and it's in your packet if you would like to look at it. It looks like this. We're going to go to last year, and we're going to review the opportunities for improvement that you identified, the discussion, and then what actions. Sometimes you come back a year later and you think, oh, I forgot about that. So we're going to see some of these things that possibly been done, but maybe we missed a beat here or there, and this is the time to kind of shore things up. So this first page, what you identified, an opportunity for improvement. That might be your exit ticket tonight. I'm not sure. We might be doing something. So where do you see that? I know internally, and Joe knows internally what's been done, but are you aware of what's been done?
Yeah, I mean, Julian and my goal team, we put together what was going to come to the board, what was going to be presented during the board meeting, or what was going to be presented for the Friday update.
Yes.
And we brought that to the board, we switched some things up, and we set that out. And I think it's been going well.
I think it's been going, just from my objective view, working with all of you, I think you've done it. And the district working in the silo, they are 100% documenting in a very strategic manner.
Because we review that document once a month, and so Ty just had that up the other day. So we're making sure that all of our schedules are aligned on when we're reporting that out and how we're reporting it.
I think one of the outcomes of that, Chris mentioned it, you know, our Friday updates seem to be more focused on, you know, things that are a part of the strategic plan than they were before.
Excellent, excellent. So you did have an opportunity for improvement under leadership that you did under instructional management. And it dealt with the board ensuring curriculum and teaching and learning model adopted by the district provides equity and access for all students. Your comments, what would this look like? Reports on schools of choice, special ed, emergent bilingual, ninth grade VPA and athletics being the big movement that
Not only that it's kind of been a change because we got away from doing we're moving more towards we want a little bit more information on what's going on in specific areas, and that was conveyed to Joe, and I think we're seeing that. So
no, and
it's good.
I like it. I think it was something that kind of bubbled up through Lone Star governance, and like I said, I like this better. A lot of these are big things that we're spending time on, and we need updates and know how these things are going.
Very good, very good. Okay, next page. You did not have anything under board management, but two under personnel management, which I think they're numbered the same, which that would not be correct. But the board ensures the necessary personnel resources are in place to meet objectives. The staff was requested to develop a plan on preparing internal candidates for secondary AP and principal
something in the Friday update, but we haven't reported out on that as I recall. But Brandon, we basically, what I are, and what is, I think what was the coolest thing, so he's got about 12 to 15 that had to apply. We then all evaluated, but I think what was really interesting is before that first session, I know Brandon was a little nervous. I mean, it's just, you're about to deliver to a group in a brand new program you've never done. And I was there for a little bit, but then I had to go, I had another meeting that night. I think I had a Vader.
Yeah, it was a bigger meeting.
Yeah. And then I talked to him the next day, and he was so over the top happy.
Yeah, he was on cloud nine.
Yeah, he was on cloud nine, having that time with those people and discussing all of that. It went really well. And then he had a second meeting, and it's the same thing. And then I thought was really interesting, like we were talking letting them reflect on, am I ready to start thinking about that next one, or am I focusing on my current?
Good.
Very good.
3 out of 5 or 4 out of 5 of our junior highs, we moved principals from elementary.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have three now, right?
So the focus on this seems, thinking back, it seems like it was really about having principals at the high school levels, right?
Well, it was just, it's making sure that as we continue to look at and we were sending people down, and then there was a time when we kind of exhausted that, and we were actually stealing their people. Principals today, and I said, you got a really strong AP. It is time to start pushing them to really start thinking about it, because I don't think they're thinking about it yet. I always go back to the Martinek example. Martinek is better than anybody else we
Is there a
have.
reminder for streaming?
Oh, okay. Well, Michael, I still think Michael did a great job on making sure everyone knew that he was interested in that next position. And I thought that really helped him because there was no confusion. And that's the other thing I try to tell people, be very clear about what you want next. Because I can't help you get somewhere that we're not real sure you're trying to get to. So always be very, very clear about that.
Very good, very good. Sorry, we probably should have mentioned that as well at the closed session, so y'all. Lauren comes with me, and we get to work with each of the business ops leaders individually on their improvement planning goals and follow-up. And this was one of Melissa Cologne's goals. And it has now gone out through business ops. But she has done some official training on customer service. So if you ever go to their emails, she's gathering data. She has set times to gather the data, take surveys, and she's working with her staff on that. So that was a great response to what's going on here. What else?
Yeah,
this in a transparent and accountable manner. And so, what you said is, what other things could the board activity chart participation, items listed on the chart are important enough to be included on the chart? Is it important that members share what they did? Does it come across as self-importance? Other perspectives, staff recognize when members mention their involvement in their program. Feedback needs to be done in the proper way. Approach is a celebration. Does the community feel the board is transparent? And should the board discuss self-reflection goals of individual members? From that, those were your discussion points. You came up with include activities that have been attended. Ensure the activities on the chart are addressed. Approach activity involvement as a celebration by telling the community what a great event it was. It should not be
I can give you the only piece that we talked about was possibly, if we're gonna talk almost to an audience about this, is the why behind it. Like, so we have an activity on the chart, maybe always, why is that an activity that rises to activity chart? And so, not that I went to it, but why I went to it and what I saw or what I experienced because of that.
good. Anything else? Okay, very good. So those were your opportunities from the last self-assessment. By the end of tonight, you'll have opportunities going into this next year, some things that you want to work on. So here we have the self-assessment. We have, Lauren, do you mind popping this open? So thank y'all for your feedback. And we just have a couple. And continue to be advanced. I don't want to go and read, y'all can read these, you do not need me to read those to you. Number 3, continues to be proficient. Number 4, continues to be proficient. And I'm going to say, as you're looking at these, if you want to make a note, if you think there's some indicator, even if it's proficient, like many of these from last year, your opportunities for improvement were proficient, but it was an area you still wanted to address, you might make a note as we go, because we will do that at the end. Number 5, continues to be advanced. We'll scroll on down to 6. You can see that governing strategically with a focus on policy, decisions, etc., moved. Is very similar. It's the same but different. It's about CI tools, but the difference is number 9 is about how you use tools for gathering input prior to. So that's like bringing in outside information. Where number 7 is how you use quality tools amongst yourself for problem solving. Both of those were 50-50 split.
Yeah, I think on this one, I would move to advance if I felt like we were using those quality tools at every opportunity. And while we do use them,
Very good. Okay, so that is your first category, which is governance, and we will move on then. Now, leadership, all the way down, this year, you have moved two of them from proficient to advanced. So in the area of leadership, you are saying you guys are advanced all the way down, from facilitating development of long and short-term goals for the district, to pursuing professional development, to leading by a focus on student learning as the top priority, to advocating for and supporting partnerships for all students, equal opportunities for all students, to implementing a system for legislative agenda, as well as developing, reviewing, and revising policies that focus on goals and missions. So, any comments? Kudos, great job. The board regularly reviews measurable student outcomes to oversee student academic success.
I mean, we're looking at student scores all
Okay.
the time. I really do.
Okay.
All
You know
the
why,
time.
you don't know why?
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
always looking at that. So I
So
think
would
that
you
would
say
be-
it's a 2 or a 3?
We looked
I
at
would say
SAT and
that's a
SAT the
three.
other night.
Okay.
I would
Every
say
time
that's a
the party
three.
stands up, we're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was just.
That was just a,
I think that
a
was
miss,
a-
I mean, it's a
I think
typo.
that was just a typo.
Bringing Chad into this.
Sorry. Type 1 forms, we should.
She's like that, baby.
Yeah.
Move along.
No.
C, instructional management. So the next three, you had proficient and you stated proficient, and on that one, y'all were very strong twos, only, you had 1 3 on each of those, and clearly you were twos, the rest of the way. Okay, let's move on to D, board management. The first one, advanced, you stated advanced. The second indicator, the board bases its ongoing work, policy development, decision-making, et cetera, on district goals. You had a 50-50 split between advanced and proficient. So let's talk about that. Where do you really see yourself on number 2? So it's number 2 line. I was scrolling down to take notes. Oh, okay, that's the, okay. Y'all can see that. Okay, anybody else want to have a comment on that? Nope. Everybody's good on advance? All right, very good. Okay, then you have stay proficient. Now, number 4, you moved that from proficient to advanced, so, that was an increase. Number 5, after overseeing your budget, you continued to stay at proficient. You had, just one more proficient than you did advanced, so kind of there on the edge. Number 6. And then the board assures a long-term facilities plan, that remains at advanced. Any other comments about board management? All right. Moving on to personnel management. You had some good progress here on the beginning ones. You stayed advanced with number 1. Number 2, ensuring necessary personnel resources are in place to meet objectives. You moved that from proficient to advanced. Very good. The third one, ensuring performance appraisal processes in place for staff that reinforces a standard of excellence. You moved that from proficient to advanced. And then numbers 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, you have maintained your proficient rating. Any comments about personnel management?
So my comment here was about the superintendent evaluation, and I just think we should think about whether or not for us to, have a lot of conversation. I just don't know that it's helpful to him in his, in
So what do you mean?
I just feel like we spent a lot of time on a lot of things that were not helpful to him, or that were not really focused on his evaluation.
The one thing we really didn't get to were my goals. And so we really want to build those collaboratively, and we really did. And so I think as we review how we do this, and even if we need to re-look at the instrument, I think we need to really make sure that we emphasize those pieces so that you're speaking into those.
Other thoughts or comments?
I think it needs to be a tool that
kind of change the goals from a finished product to a working product, but we really didn't get into that. And so that's why and I'd like to do now. This upcoming evaluation is a mid-year, so we'll be reviewing what we have. But the next time we come again in summer, I'd like to do the same thing that I attempted. I want to bring outline. And I want us to talk through, we're looking at this and we're looking at this. What is going to be the best? And the one
You're kind of framing that as a collaborative goal planning session. I think that's great, but that's not what the evaluation is for.
well,
So I think
and so I think that's one piece of it. It's preparing that next set of goals, because we're going to close out the one set of goals, but we've got to prepare the new set of goals, and we've got to make sure that the things that we're gonna be working on and striving for are aligned with y'all's expectations.
I think what happened last time is we spent
Out.
2 hours as a board talking through it, and then we talked through it again with you and didn't capture everything in the last 2 hours because we didn't want to have the same conversation again.
But, yeah, we had talked about that.
So is it a change of the document we're using? Is it a change of the format? Is that what you're getting at, Julie? Do you think it's a document evaluation tool change?
A lot of things that he can't.
So in this last one, I can't recall, were your goals part of the, they weren't built into the tool, right?
Yeah, they're part 3.
Okay. Yeah, so I think maybe we just flip it a little and start with the goals and going over, with you, the last year's goals, and then, I don't know if we do goals and then new goals and then the evaluation, or what do we do?
Well, yeah, I think we can talk, but I think, like I said, what you guys talked about is you rewrote the board operating procedures and really turning it into one event.
Yeah, it's the way that we've always done it, but I don't mean that's what we have to keep doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Very good. All right, and so does that mean you will come with proposed thoughts and then you take it
I
from
will,
there?
for the, like I said, this upcoming one it's a mid-year, but when we come with the next one, that's what I would like to do, is that we'll close out the current set of goals, but then let's talk through, instead of me giving you, here's what I'm doing, I think it just needs, even if they're basically set up, I think they can't be final until we talk to them together.
I agree.
Is there something specific in the board operating procedures that you guys have written out pertaining to this, or was it?
I think we did change it to a one-time, not meet separately without him, but to meet
One
everybody
meeting.
together.
Yes, although I think there should be an opportunity that where the board speaks without the superintendent in the room.
I think you wrote something in there that there
I think
can
that's
be.
what we say.
Because if there's a need to do that,
My first time, is that what you normally have done before, met separately?
We always did it separately and brought in the,
Okay.
but we went overboard last
Well,
time.
yeah, we were off the rails last
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, so usually it's an hour or 45 minutes, not 2 hours.
Well, and it was just, talking about things that were not part of his goals and not part of his evaluation.
And why don't you go and put the comments, so we can, show them.
What part what part are you talking about?
Just hit.
We were talking about
Just
other
go up
employees
to the-
besides Joe in that evaluation. And that didn't set right with me. I don't feel like we're. In my mind.
I disagree. Because I think if he has let's say he has a string of bad hires that are not working, that's part of the evaluation of Joe. Joe, these people aren't working, you hired all of them. What's the process here? I think that's appropriate, as far as the evaluation of the superintendent.
Well, it can be appropriate in talking to Joe about it, but do we need to sit amongst ourselves and talk about it for an hour before we bring Joe?
Well, I think there's value in that, because if we don't have a discussion as a board, and we don't present at least some semblance of a unified consensus, then one person can just derail the entire evaluation and say, I want to talk about this person. So if we're going to do that, I think we ought to speak as a board and talk about it before it gets hijacked by one person. But we can't do that if Joe's in the room, because we need to talk about it as a board.
Well, we need to do the things that makes him a better superintendent, no matter what it is. Our job is to give him insight to what we've seen and heard and go over all the areas.
The red line, but we've been working on that a lot today, in fact, and it will
That's
come.
okay, we're gonna
it will
bring
come
it to
you,
them
so,
soon, so.
Yeah, it comes, so, that's okay, Lauren, they know what they're looking for, and we'll make sure that it's red line. Thank you very much. All right.
But where does that leave us? I think we're leaving stones unturned. What do you want to say?
We'll go backwards. What do you need from us to do better? You know me, I mean, honestly, I don't need, and it's, I don't know if it's what everybody needs. I don't need anything sugar-coated. I need to know what I need to know. But then, I've got to take that with what I'm also seeing on site. Are we worried about an individual, or are we worried about a pattern? I think that's the thing, is this an evaluation issue, or is this an issue, and we can have that conversation another time? I think that's the thing, it's what you brought up. If you're really questioning consistent choices, that's a problem, because that's the thing. And I was kind of laughing, one of the things somebody was talking about, superintendents and, the control and everything else. The average superintendent doesn't even last 3 years. Boards don't have a problem if the superintendent is not doing
Right.
what the board wants to do. Boards make decisions. That's the thing. The system is working the way the system was designed to work. And boards are holding superintendents accountable. I think that's the piece we've got. Everything. But I think that's where I'm at on that.
Thinking big and strategic about what the board can do to support the superintendent, and, little one-off constituents problems that we're bringing into an evaluation.
Yeah, it's an evaluation of Joe, it's not an evaluation of any other employee.
All right, good, great discussion, thank you. All right, if you're ready, we'll move on then to section F, which is student services management. The first piece about ensuring the discipline management program is in place, and enforcement of code of conduct and monitors for equity and effectiveness. You continue to rate yourself as proficient there. The board reviews 10 student activities, and you remained at advanced on
Yeah.
that. Is there any comments or thoughts about that?
You know, the only thing I'll say, and I'm good with one being proficient, but I actually have lifted you up higher. And the reason is because we've had multiple conversations. You guys have added care rooms, we've added additional behavioral specialists. We had, you know, it's a difficult time right now, and we made that decision to move that one employee to the behavior support team. So we're responding in the moment. We responded last year with the task force that we formed. So there's been pieces that are beyond just, you know, well, we're gonna sit back and follow the code of conduct. No, we got a code of conduct and we're evaluating, but we're continuing to evaluate how can we do things better. So I think but you don't get there unless you're trying.
I know that we're trying a lot of things, and we hope that they're working, but as a board, I don't know. I know that I don't know. I hear all kinds of one-off stories from parents and teachers and things that happen here, things that happen at this school. So it'd be real easy to think that things are getting better, because that's what I hear from people.
Yeah.
So it'd be good to have some data or some way to know, are these changes that we're making actually making improvements in school behavior, or are we still?
We usually see that though.
You get the updates in the, in the Friday update, but you know, at some point it might be like a comprehensive update, and then maybe also an update they're working with the task force recommendations, and how many of those have they worked with. Actual conversations based on one of the questions, and that's getting that feedback on a consistent basis, because we could work with those groups, work with Deanne to design the questions to help us know, are we dealing with anecdotal problems?
Yes.
Or huge problems?
Yeah.
And I don't know what this correct question to ask is, but something to capture how the teachers are feeling about the behavior. In the sense of, are people being driven away because of the kids? We've lost some really good teachers, and you've heard that from them. I can't take these kids anymore. It has gotten so bad. Okay. Can we craft a question to know whether it's getting worse or it's getting better?
Well, and also is if this is where we are. Maybe not be able to get back to this, but how do we get to where a good learning environment is achieved?
Yeah, and there's probably a subset of teachers that, you know, can't get past that, right? Whatever kind of behaviors we had pre-pandemic. Like you said, we're never going back, we're not gonna go back there, and so they just can't.
Well, sure, but if
In
we
this environment.
have a question of, is the behavior affecting the learning environment, Well, that could inform where we put the care rooms in
Yeah,
those
totally.
schools.
And that conversation, that came up.
And that's where I hear quite, issues too, is, assistant principals getting beat up and.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I know I said situation to you, Matt, about, and this is coming from the fact that I'm not the newest member on the board, but we're still pretty green.
You're welcome.
Yeah. How do we, is there a way for us to ensure that we are really getting out as board members and seeing all the different schools that are there? I mean, we spend a lot of time as a board doing stuff at the high schools. I mean, go to the high school stuff. I mean, we all do that. But stuff, but do we get to, well, that's the purpose of the activity chart, is to pull out the things that we think are the most important, that we want to make sure that we have at least one board member go to. Right. And then everything else is, if it fits in with your life, then you go to it. Like, we got an invitation to something at Meridian that's in a week, and I have a conflict that day, but maybe there's somebody else that doesn't have a conflict that day. And then the next time there's a Meridian event, I'll try to double efforts to get there. And that's really the best way to spend. Because we feel like we need to be there.
I think you're kind of missing my point here.
I'm just saying.
I understand what you're saying, and I don't think it's about me thinking that I'm gonna go in there and take up a principal's time. It's really not about that, it's really just about being able to
Showing
get
up.
out, showing up and getting out to see
But
what's going
To
on.
be everywhere is what you're looking at.
Right,
Yeah.
I mean, how do you, how do we do that? And here's the reason that this whole thing came up to my mind. We go to the elementary schools to read. I went to an elementary school and there was 3 different board members at one elementary school for the reading that day.
You all got invited that day.
And I get that, but here's the part of the problem that I don't think we see for the administrators, is it's hard for them to come do these things, because you know what? They're busy.
Right.
And there are some principals who are probably really good at that, everything,
invite everybody to everything. And then there are other principals that that's just not in their scope of what they think about.
Sometimes it's particular teachers that that's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you know what I'm saying? I don't know, I mean, I don't know.
It's
Lydia,
just-
you were an
so-
elementary principal. Do you kind of get what I'm trying to say
I
here?
kind of do, because I was at Donna Park, it's a smaller campus. You know, I did not have board members participate in a lot of things. Because y'all are so busy, you really are. So.
Well, and I do think there is, I wasn't trying to say you were trying to do anything, but I do think that there are some times when they just, to bring a board member on campus is just too much. They just really don't want to invite us to, to something right now.
But I think, here's the thing, I think it is, I think we have two different things going on too, is we don't want to become that person that just shows up because it's code purple.
Yeah.
If a board member comes on campus, because it's the same if I do it, guys. Okay, I'm the same thing, all right? And they will stop what they're doing, and they're gonna walk me around or talk to me, and it doesn't matter how much I say no. I think what Becky's really saying is how do we maximize our presence on our buildings, but I think we can talk about it, but I think it's a difficult organizational thing because of the workload of many of the members.
Right,
And best laid plans of, I'm going to attend this meeting and I just got called into a meeting and I'm not gonna be there. What has happened, and we all know, we'll all end up at Bel Air because
Sure.
we will be invited.
Right,
All right,
certain
and-
teachers.
And.
That's a
we-
problem in and of itself.
Well,
It is.
we may or may not get invites to other campuses, yeah.
But an idea that I do, Becky, which, we get the invitations that we give out. I never take the same group every year.
Oh,
But I
yeah.
purposely
Oh, yeah.
rotate them all.
No, but what is, that's what my first thought was too.
I mean, I think that's great.
Is this, it's almost like an administrator when I'm doing my walkthrough list, and I keep my list and I hit everybody before I start over again. And is this our own individual list as we try to work through campuses, that we're gonna try to make sure I've gone to every campus before I'm back at anybody again? Because it's organizing it amongst yourself.
No.
Because I'm the
gosh,
superintendent,
guys.
I'm the superintendent, you're student. No, and
Come
Becky, it is not that way either. There are certain principals, I know I can stop onto that campus, and they're gonna go, I'm a meeting. And there's others that will look at me with deer in the headlights, and they're about to cancel an hour.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, and I think a lot of it has to do with where they are and the relationship that we have, and we have different relationships with different people. But I think
I'm just.
but you're not just some
Can I say one more thing about Donna Park? And I was just, there like 4 years, I guess, but I still remember we did a stargazing night. And a board member out of the blue showed up, and actually, Judy Ramos showed up. She was director of communications. She didn't have a child there, but I still remember that was out of the blue, nobody was invited. And I just went on, but I was super excited, like, this was a special event at my
Yeah.
school, and they just showed up. And that was super special.
But there's a difference between when we show up because, there's an event and, we got an invitation and so randomly we show up, than if we show up because, it's one of the 3 campuses I have to show up at this month. I don't know. It's a fine line for me.
It's a great idea, Becky. It's hard to do when everybody else's schedule is different.
It's up to
Right.
each board member whether or not you actually.
Can y'all think, just out of curiosity, just a conversation point, can you think of any school that you're like, I've never been there, and I think it would be interesting to go?
There's a few of them that haven't been to.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Elementary.
I have rotated the cards well enough that I have visited every school.
There's several
You have been
schools
doing
that-
this a very long
Yeah,
time.
well, that's true.
I mean, that's part of it, so. that
So there,
doesn't help the new
that's just a way to
people
think of it too, from your own personal, like, you would enjoy that.
out. Yeah, so.
Okay, so that may become an opportunity for improvement, we'll find out. And then G,
I've been to
community relations.
Meadow Creek.
You,
Really?
You really have?
you've never been to Meadow
Never
Creek?
been to Creek?
I was there last week for their.
Governance, just give a glance at those indicators and see if you see anything, an opportunity for improvement.
Fuck this chicken wheels.
Yeah, those changes are hard. So in the area of governance, I don't believe we had any specific notes. Do you want to move on? No opportunities there, okay? Leadership, you gave yourself 3. Three proficients. Any opportunities that you want to specifically call out there?
So I have a note in board management. that-
Okay.
What?
And I wrote this note with the spirit of, we are a great board and we do everything really well.
Okay.
But I have had some concerns of late about our important business in closed session that I'm hearing outside of our closed session. And I don't know how our closed session business is getting outside of our closed session, and it just concerns me.
us leading questions to try and get us to possibly create an answer through a leading question. I think we just have to be very careful with the nature of what we're dealing with. We just have to be very careful about what we say. And sometimes people will try, as I've noticed, they'll try and trick you, making you think they do know something.
Yeah.
I have to talk with our people, we talk, because they're in the same boat. A lot of that information has already come through. Very careful, keep this information, private, etc. So we just have to really work hard to make sure,
And it may very well be
people's
people
privacy is.
making it up, and like you said,
Yeah.
telling you something in hopes that you'll say something, but, when you hear it from another employee that should know nothing, it's concerning.
So is this accurate? So the opportunity is closed session information, possibly getting outside of closed session. The comments that we have to be careful of leading questions and being diligent about that, and the actions for improvement is being very careful about what you. Okay, moving on to personnel management. I circled, y'all had a long conversation about the superintendent's evaluation, number 5 and 6. So do you see an opportunity for improvement officially there, or do you think the update and the conversation on your operating procedures will handle that?
Well, I think that's the piece though, is there's been some adjustment to the operating procedures to look at this. Time and did this accomplish what we were hoping to
Yeah.
accomplish?
So I think we'll put it as an opportunity for improvement so that we can remind ourselves and come back and see.
And deeper, yeah.
Then come up with, okay, what are we trying to?
So Lauren, it would be 5 and
In
6.
theory, like a little agenda and.
Well, and that's, I
Try
think
that.
they tried to do that as they were updating, which they'll present to y'all.
And then the discussion is the update of the board operating procedures.
Lydia, do they go, will the board operating procedures go out in the Friday update prior to the
Uh,
presenting?
They're going to be they're on the agenda for November 17th, so they will go out as an attachment prior to that, and then y'all will look at those and then vote on them, approve them or whatever, the first meeting in December, correct? December 15th,
December.
the only.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll go out, it's on the November 17th agenda to review. Julie and Chris will review it
And then
with the
vote
group.
later?
We have the red
So we
line.
have time to discuss.
Yeah.
Yeah, the want those included as opportunities for improvement.
I think at minimum, from my end, I think it, not, I don't wanna commit immediately, but probably early in the year, get a, update do a full behavior update to the board. So we can talk about the ideas from the task force, we can talk about any other issues that we are going, we can discuss that, because that, we discussed that last year, obviously, when we had the task force. So we can do that as an update on that side.
Okay. And then, do you want?
Nobody's talking
No.
about at least one, so.
All
we'd each do
7 of us in the course of a year. Hey, I attended the theater at
So
Bedford
since I
Heights.
already went to Meadow Creek, then Meadow Creek is done,
Right,
basically.
correct. It's a lame, very first step, but it would be a start.
And maybe it's more from my standpoint of being a person who can be,
Okay,
it's, maybe that's, maybe it's just me.
Becky, I will share with you personally, that the year I got on the board, Don George Wells pulled me aside. And it was suggested by John George Wells, which probably did it for a whole different reason. And it made me feel really good, because then I kind of always knew where they were.
All right.
Those are the ones where the principal stops everything to check
Yeah.
you around.
And you're right,
Brags it out, so that's what.
and it was disruptive. I have to agree.
My very first school visit, I thought it was really fun and cool, but
I did too.
now I realize that it was probably took a lot of effort.
Disruptive.
Yeah.
It was disruptive.
But I went and saw Darla Clark, who was she, before she became.
Shady Oaks.
Shady Oaks.
So I went to Shady Oaks, and they had it on the announcements,
Yeah.
they had to,
Roll out the red carpet.
No, and not kidding, because I was walking with the principal and I go, oh, yeah, we got the announcement earlier. I mean, so, I mean, I mean, they prepare and they respond.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm in that camp too about that. So I don't,
It's a sticky wicket.
it is.
I think
Please let me know if there's an opportunity for your assigned board member to come to your campus in the next 6 months.
I can totally do that.
And then she can organize.
And Chris,
Where are you going to, Chris?
Chris. And listen, wait.
Yeah.
In an effort to make this easier, because we have kids on campus, we should include.
you don't have any elementary kids.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's, I don't have
You're
a
already
choice.
out there.
I'm coming to every theater.
Remember, in
now.
21 is just
I don't get a whole lot of elementary performances.
I just,
I think there should be a goal for us to get to as many campuses as we can. I think we're getting too prescriptive, and it's getting.
I mean, Becky
Let's-
will,
Yeah.
I like it, but you do get a little diffusion of responsibility with one person too. We've all done group projects before, right?
Yeah.
There's always that, person that overachieves.
well, this time we Becky.
All right, Becky, it's your idea, so you did all 21 campuses.
You got elementary, Becky, I got the high school.
Well, I will say this, if you are a member of all 21 PTAs, you get emails about their
Yeah.
golf
Oh.
festivals and all their
And I
things.
do,
Yep.
and I
And
am.
so you do have the opportunity.
I know, you're right, you're right. So maybe it just needs to be a personal thing. And it sounds like you want to document it somewhere.
I mean, that's what the report of the activity chart really is, right? You,
Now you're gonna get all, you're
I
gonna
got
dump
you.
all that.
I'm good.
You're
I'm just
gonna
kidding,
love
Bubba.
chili
I wanna see it.
Good save there.
Did you go to that Meridian thing? It was like a
So why
meeting.
don't we put a, why don't we just
Well, I
document
went down
it
two
for
different times, so
discussion?
they had started their student council at Meridian, and
Yes.
they wanted to talk about leadership.
Yes.
That was a really cool thing.
that was a
Go
really
have
cool
lunch
thing
with
to
the-
get invited to.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
fun.
So every once in a while, they just come out of nowhere. We also did something like that over at Keys one time.
Oh, yeah, they had their student council, and we went to a lunch.
Gee, I don't know.
Yeah, community relations. Oh gee, I don't know. Okay. I don't think there's anything for G, so if you'll take us back to our PowerPoint, and thank y'all for your great discussion. Let's take about a 10-minute break, and then we will be on part 3.
Well, that happened anyway.
I have a sheet of paper.
Thankfully.
Questions on it. What do you think you did good? What do you think you
Because
did
I
bad?
just thought I was
What are we
supposed to,
gonna do?
you know, and I wanted to
And
sit
it
on
was-
things and do all the things.
Children. Get two, Fred.
You got it. Wait, there's none.
There's no one.
There's tortillas,
That's okay, there's meat.
there's meat.
You can share with anybody.
Go ahead, Lydia, I'm listening.
Okay, all right, we are to part three. of
Part
our
three.
Of our mandatory 3-hour training. So we're on the
We're on the home stretch.
home stretch, that's what I couldn't think of.
We're on
Thank you.
three.
Okay, so this is the part, gone from yourself as an individual to you as a board, and now how are you, as your duties in governance, keeping the focus for the whole, for your whole governing on the priorities, your priorities. So with all the distractions. You have theories of action very specifically included in your processes, in your board operating procedures. Can you think of other priorities, other things that you consider a priority of the board as a whole as you are governing this district, other than the strategic plan and your theories of action? Are there other things?
No, I can't think of a priority, but I do think that this is the hardest part of being a board member, because all of our constituents in our community work really hard to change our focus from these things, because what's important in one household, with one child, with one family, is maybe not important. So, has always been this. And listen to them, but not let them change your focus.
Okay, very good.
And it's
And
the,
so-
it's the tricky part of being a school board member, but it's also the easiest part, because as opposed to any other elected position you could have, if you're on city council, you're having to weigh libraries versus fire versus police versus all these different things. We get to focus on just students and just education. So, yeah, we're trying to figure out the best way to put our district together in a way that serves the most students, but that's all we have to focus on is our kids and our students in our district. So.
Great point. And those are your priorities, right? So what we're using is called a force field analysis, and it is a quality tool. And the quality tool is used for analyzing what aids that we call drivers. Drivers that help you achieve the objective of keeping the focus. And I would like you to use your Post-it notes. You can talk amongst yourself, but let's post what are considered drivers that help you to keep your focus.
Can you help us with one example of what you think a driver
Yeah.
might be?
Okay, a driver, let me think, I've not thought about this before, I'm glad you asked me. A driver for keeping the focus is that you have clearly identified what your priorities are. Yeah, I think that's a good, so does that help you think, like, what are you doing that is helping you keep the focus personally? And, well, as well, so what are your drivers to keep this focus? The aids, the help, the positive. Does it take time? You might want to talk amongst yourself, or you may just want to start writing and go ahead and post them, or you can give them to me and I'll post them, whatever you think. You need to get up and move for a minute, just post it up there.
Okay. I put consistency within CI. We know what we're doing today, we know what we're doing tomorrow, and we develop that, so the noise gets quieted right off the bat, but we still do it within CI, I mean, we're still going to evaluate, so our consistency can change, but we're consistent about how we do what we do. And so many, we stay so far away from playground.
And if we follow the procedures that are there,
But
we won't get
because
sidetracked.
you have a place to go look.
How about looking at the future?
The vision.
Vision, vision is looking, being visionary, and trying to look ahead.
Yeah.
Well, remember that analogy I gave at that one meeting? People that look a quarter mile ahead of less accidents than people who look over their head.
I love it, what you want.
You're not looking far in the
It's what
future.
you like.
Well, they have a lot of, regular touch points.
You know what you're doing now, but you also set it up for the,
You're not
you have to
watching.
see where the apex is. And you have to,
Well, I've got two on that one, proactive.
They're all good.
It's always been proactive.
it's gonna picture school. Okay, it's gonna suck though.
I think that's it.
Friend before the other
No,
one.
before Becky.
Before Becky Jo.
Becky Jo. Becky Jo.
That's me.
Becky Jo Westcott.
You're
Westcott?
Becky Sue? Are
Westfall.
you really?
Yes, I
Becky
am.
Jo Westfall?
No, Becky Sue. She's
Oh,
right next
she's
to
Becky Sue.
All right, here's what you have identified are drivers to helping you keep the focus on your priorities. You said the agenda for our meetings, okay? You said the aggregate support from the community. Talk about that. Tell me a little bit more about that, what you're thinking. How's that a driver to help you?
So that was mine, and I wanted to emphasize aggregate because, yes, to Julie's point, there are times where individuals have something that's very, very important to them. And so I think that speaks well of the community and the support that they have for the.
And just to jump on that, I mean, you think through, you look at the strength of our PTAs and the growth we've seen there. You look at our relationship with the cities and the Chamber of Commerce, our faith-based organizations, our charity organizations. We bring all that together, and most districts would be lucky to have that level of relationship with one of those pieces. And we have multiple pieces with advanced relationship in place. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
And I would add, just from an outsider looking in, a lot of places might have all that, but what I see in HEB is they're here to serve you, not trying to have you serve them. I mean, you work together, right, but it could be a distractor.
I think the consistency helps everybody because we have processes in place, but because our process is CI, our consistency is ready to change when it's necessary to change. But there's also some guiding consistencies, like we were talking to some teachers. Managed curriculum means we know what we're covering, but we always talk about there's still, when you get down to those 22 kids, it's going to look the way it needs to look within what the managed curriculum is having us deliver, you know, the art and science. So.
Okay, then here we have, it's one of our priorities, constant learning. Anything else about that you'd like to add?
That was mine, and thank you, Julie, for helping us win the trophy. Because if we hadn't met tonight, we wouldn't be.
High expectations, and then staying connected with the community. Anything else about that?
I think this job, it's hard and it takes a lot of time being on the school board. And I think if you don't have your thing in the community and your thing in the district that really builds up your passion, that you're not gonna, I mean, this is really a passion job that we all do. And you have to fill that up on a regular basis to, you know, really do a good job, you know, we all try to do a good job at. And so that's why I think staying connected with the community and especially staying connected with those school activities and things that really, you know, give you a lot of energy, it's important.
Fantastic, okay. Here we have no hidden agendas. Anything else you want to say about that?
No, I stole that from you.
Well, I think that, I mean, y'all know, you've seen boards function. or not-
Listen, there are
not
boards
be
all around us
dysfunction.
are operating, spending all of their time
Well, it's the one size fits all. Somebody misbehaves, so we all, you know, the first thing we teach teachers is do not do corporal punishment.
Yeah.
You know, if Jimmy did something wrong, take care of Jimmy. And now these laws feel like somebody did something, and instead of addressing that one-off, we're addressing a new law. And cities are feeling the same thing. It's adversely affecting their ability to properly run their city, our district, because we are different, and there's going to be, within the parameters, there needs to be some freedom to do the things that help our kids.
Very good. Here we have board operating procedures clearly defined.
So I think that our board operating procedures tell us exactly how to handle almost every situation.
In the sense of Dr. Buehringer was the one who said, you know, acceptable is unacceptable.
Yes.
It was the idea of getting to a high expectation, and we will all achieve if we do that. And at the same time, he was the great innovator. He was that person looking to the future, looking for those programs. We're not going to be second. We weren't going to be behind, because if we're second, then our kids are second. So as we look into the future, as we look what's coming around the corner, are we ready to make sure our kids are prepared? Sorry.
Have you told them you have a lunch with Dr.
I mentioned it, I don't know if I told everybody. Yeah, and it was really, something I meant to mention. Brandon was, you know, we
Well, it's funny that you say that, because I had lunch
I never worked with them. It was,
Job before you got
it was great.
I had lunch this past week with somebody who she brought up Ewingers and how he really set us up for what some districts have found to be a difficult time that they can't get past. But he gave us the tools that we needed to not only get past those times, but thrive beyond those times. And this was a community member that was talking about this, about Dr. B.
Interesting.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'll just give a little history. So I have the opportunity, and I love it, to work real closely with Brandon. So just do the whole ed ops, and it's just a wonderful opportunity. And so he would often ask me questions, and so I would answer them to the best of my ability. But after so long, I'm like, you know what? Y'all have continued that in your leadership. So it was a really wonderful time. I love it.
That speaks to continuing the same things and hiring from within, and because Steve learned from Dr. B, and then Joe learned from Steve.
And then, like, that's the thing, I don't know that I've had more than a few sentence conversation with Dr. B before that lunch myself. But I would tell you, I felt like I knew Dr. B from all the Steve stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all the systems that he has,
Yeah,
was,
all-
right?
all-
Those two really well. It was fantastic. Okay, and then here.
Yeah,
Those are
just think
just
about what
like-
look they would give you.
Oh, exactly. I go through that conversation all the time.
Okay, anything else that came to mind that you want to add before we move on? Okay, excellent. So now we're going to go to like my little hiding spot here, and I'll cover it up.
Magic show.
Yeah, I know. Okay, now we're going to do the same activity, but now you have to think, what are the barriers? You have some fabulous drivers. But there's lots of barriers out there that want you to be distracted. Okay.
But we only have one
What's that?
state.
Well, write it down, don't put it up there. Okay? So think, what are barriers to you all keeping your focus on your priorities?
And with Jenny all of a sudden on the peanut butter thing, I'm like, what are you doing? I cannot be here.
Be interesting how peanut butter came up in the conversation.
She asked if something could be good and bad.
Good and
Oh,
bad.
oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
that came up with ice cream and peanut butter and.
I love that, yeah, that's right. And just think, maybe they're not actually barriers now, but what do you have to watch out for? like, what do you have to do as you to not let whatever it is take you away from your focus? Anybody else?
Yeah, I got mine.
Okay, no rush.
Scribbling on here.
All right, let's see what we have here. Sorry, I have my glasses. I don't do that back here, I don't know. Small print. Okay, here we have, we'll start right here. Lack of time, tell me about that.
Well, is that, tonight we got reminded about the strategic plan that none of us knew about.
Well, we knew about it, we couldn't.
Couldn't remember.
Okay, let's start with money.
Money, I mean, it's just, it is the distraction of what we just had to do.
Yeah.
That we had to deviate our time away from everything we needed to do because that piece wasn't handled. So then we had to go out and talk to the voters to ask them to handle it. And it ate up the very next one, time.
Time.
And so we had to deviate time away because without the money, we couldn't do the things. We couldn't accomplish what we're trying to accomplish. But it's frustrating because should that be what we needed to do in that moment? And it could have been alleviated.
There you go. What about the 89?
89 legislative session is just, there's just so much, and we talked about it. And it's so much of stuff that I don't know for the vast majority of the districts that they are truly issues and that they will change student learning. Yeah.
How about one-off?
One-offs, I think we've got to be very careful that we let a one-off move us away from our focus. And that can be so easy because something can come up and it can appear to be a big deal and it's not. And it can move us away from our what should be our main focus or bigger focus.
Yeah, that's that same idea of, it's important to that parent and important to that student, but it's not important to the other 23,000 students.
It's not always the loudest voice.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, we have to avoid responding to the loudest voice and respond appropriately based on the conditions that we've set to accomplish accomplish the strategic.
Well, we fell for the open classroom.
When we're asking people to make an informed decision, it could be misinformed, either intentionally or unintentionally. That makes it hard for us to stay focused on the kids instead of having to run around and put out fires and say, no, I know it looks that way, but yeah, this is the reality.
Yeah.
Very good. And then it says unfunded mandates.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And along, individual community members, that kind of goes along, I think,
Yes,
with
I
what
understand.
you were saying. Very good. Okay, the legislature funding shortfalls. More
Funding shortfalls, yes.
Funding shortfalls.
Yeah.
Okay. How about false narratives?
Everything right now, you say that is deviating from the strategic plan?
You know, I feel, I gotta be honest, I feel like we're really functioning pretty well right now. You know, I think we really, we had to focus on the Vader, but you know, we've got a rewrite of the strategic plan, how we're presenting that information to y'all, we've taken that. I don't know. Good clunk.
Could cause us to sort of maybe not work on other work. And it was also, it was an opportunity for us to tell a little bit of the story of, you know, the funding shortfalls and the things we're doing right and the things that make us unique. And not just for community members, but also for our own employees to hear that and even just ourselves to be reminded of it.
Unfunded mandates and requirements, politics, and state funding. Anything to add to those comments? Okay. Previous experience, managing people's needs.
And your handwriting analysis.
Well, even if you didn't,
No, I wrote that. The how of the past, and sometimes,
yeah, you did, yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Sometimes it's hard to see things, and I think I don't know. To me, education has always been like hanging on a pendulum.
Mhm.
You know, you swing this way, you swing
Don't-
back again.
Don't throw out that workbook.
And then we're
it may
like
come
going,
back.
oh, here we are again,
Mhm.
and then whatever, and so, you know, sometimes you see that and think, really,
Mhm.
we're really gonna go down this path again? And so, I don't know.
So,
Sometimes,
yeah. That makes sense, yeah?
But I think we're all gonna bring in those experiences
I know,
and then.
I mean,
and-
it's good,
But it's some biases that we all have, they. Be a driver and not a variant.
Right.
It's gonna be a lot different for you and Andy than it is for any of us, because you guys worked in the school district, and you had that experience as an employee, so separating your employee
Right.
life from your school board life.
right. It's a whole nother thing. It's a barrier, but it's also,
Yeah, it's ice cream.
but it's ice cream. It's a barrier, but it's also a good thing.
Yeah,
For
it's a
sure.
barrier,
I mean-
but it's a driver.
Yeah, it's a barrier and it's a driver. There you
And
go.
that's a whole personal thing about keeping yourself in check, to know when do I use it as a driver?
Yeah. When is it a
becoming
barrier or when is it a
barrier?
driver?
That,
is the, right there. Thank
Andy,
you.
you are an employee, what do you think about that? That's a super interesting concept, like,
Well, we know where all the bodies are buried.
is that a driver or a barrier?
Yes.
Both.
Right.
Both.
Yeah.
And I think that's true. They come to you and say, thus and so, you go, well, that person is pretty straight shooter and probably what they're saying is probably true. And so you know, do you sit on that? Do you say something about that? Do you know, text Joe and say blah, blah, blah? Do you know, what do you do? And so it does put you in a
So
different
what,
situation.
like, what,
I'm not, you know, and
how
it's,
do you make, this is such a big, like, how do you turn that into a driver?
So you follow the board
Right.
operating procedures, and it tells you exactly how to handle that appropriately.
Okay, good. And I know it gets complicated because of relationships, former relationships.
That-
Communication a barrier, or is it that there is not clear communication a
It's,
barrier?
there's not, I mean, I was trying to figure out, had a lot of things going through. 18,000 people showed up to vote, and we had 17 data presentations. I bet you didn't have 1,000 people in the presentation
No.
to hear that. So that clear communication that you guys providing wasn't getting to everybody. But I don't know how you engage people who don't show
Want to be
up.
engaged with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, that's the thing, I think clear communication is always, because remember my first year with y'all, when we were talking about communication with the superintendent, I said, guys, communication's one of the best things I do, and y'all are really tough. Because it's 7 people and trying to find that, and I think we've gotten much better.
Yeah.
But getting to the place where we need to be that effectively works, and that's the case. And because it was something I had picked up from the time before, where I had now understood a misunderstanding. And so I said it a different way. And I was like, well, I sure wish I'd figured that out 16 times ago.
I'm sure. I just added clear communication, not getting to everyone. So with these barriers that you've identified, is there anything specific that you can do to either turn those into drivers or to eliminate these barriers? Is there, think that through, because we can talk about them, but distract you from keeping the focus.
I mean, I think it's a daily concentration. Because, you know, all of those things are real. And, but this is no doubt our focus. And, you know, it's just a matter of reminding yourself on a regular basis
And each other.
and
Because-
constantly saying, okay, where's the line? Am I above the line? Am I below the line? Where's the, you know, this person that's bringing this to me, am I the one that's supposed to handle it? You know, all of the things, those are all part of the barriers, but just constantly asking myself, am I handling this right?
Because so many of
What
those
would they do?
barriers, we don't have direct control over. So, like with anything, when you're trying to achieve goals and you don't have direct control over all the inputs, you just have to be disciplined about the things that you can control. Not allow yourself to get distracted by things you can't control.
Okay, fabulous. So we're gonna do an activity. This is 3 hours, and before you got 25. Not a smart goal, but if it's not under your control, then it's really not very smart, right? So, can you control lack of time?
But, you know, the one of those,
And you
the
become
day
more
is still
organized.
just so long, and so there's not enough time, you just gotta prioritize it the best you can.
Okay.
But that goes, and not to derail, but it goes to, are we focusing on the right things? It's what I said about not letting yourself move away from the strategic plan, because now you're spending time on something. Time is finite. I can't be spending time on things that aren't moving us in the right direction.
Okay. What about, here's 4, money, time, 89th session, one-offs. Can you control any of those 4? Money, time, 89th session, one-offs.
I would just control the money.
Yeah,
That's
we, so, yeah.
And that's what we're doing with the budget, controlling the money.
Yeah, and using.
You have to have enough discipline to not chase it.
Who did I got something from somebody recently, and I said, Brandon, go check on this, and I said, remember, this is what I'm being told, not what I know to be true.
Yes,
Because I don't want it to turn into an act because it was not true.
yes.
But that's the piece too, as you look into something, you know, you always have to take that with a grain of salt, you know, because I was so.
Because part of our elected duties are to be representatives for everybody in the community, and sometimes it's just as simple as board, you know, whatever it's called. Operating procedure says, okay, here's how we deal with that.
Right.
It's not, Joe, make this your priority for the next week, but this family's having an issue.
Totally,
Get them to the right person.
right.
And so, I wanna make sure one-off isn't a negative thing all the time.
That's very
It's-
important. I mean, that's providing a service to that particular community member, but in the bigger scheme of things, it doesn't go away from the strategic plan.
Right.
So-
And I think sometimes what happens though, and I see this with some of our younger administrators, they get that one-off and then they see it as, well, they see it as a new norm. It's not. That still has to, you know, we can address, take care of this thing. It's just, is this And that's the other thing, it's like, you know, the lottery, you know, I mean, somebody did win the lottery, we're all not gonna win. See, everything's gonna happen, if something works 90% of the time, you never move away from it. But there's 10% of the people, we gotta figure out how to still help. It's precise.
Sometimes when you know when it's one-off, you need to know about it. If the one-off can multiply into many offs.
Well, but that's the thing.
And then greater something.
But I think, I agree there. I think we have to be able to evaluate the situation. Have we seen the beginning of the pandemic? Or are we dealing with a one-time event that we need to find a way to support this? Or is this an early trend that we're gonna have to stay on top of? And I think those are things that, you know, sometimes we have to watch and we have to be willing to say, I didn't think that was gonna blow.
Yeah, this is my proactiveness in my brain going, this could end up being an issue. Somebody probably needs to know about it. I feel like that's my job.
No, yeah, it's evaluating, and guys,
You know,
it's.
whether that's above
but
the
it's-
line or below the line, if it's something that I know can, and that's where my prior experience, having been in the system, I have a different viewpoint.
We would pass it to the right person.
Right.
But if someone's coming to you with a problem, you have a bunch of teachers coming to you with the same problem that should be handled by the principal, you just need to tell them, hey, you should go to the doctor.
Right.
See, that's,
You're right, which
Yeah.
is, you're right.
And the question
But we don't.
always out of my mouth when they come to me is, did you, I mean, you skipped 17 steps to come to me, right? So who else have you talked to about this? Had this very conversation 2 weeks ago in front of the concession stand at Pennington Field. Somebody talking to me about something, and, you know, I said, these are valid concerns. But if you have not talked to your principal about this, you shouldn't be.
that's always appropriate. It's just, what we don't wanna do is, somebody cannot have an extra level of influence because of a relationship. They've gotta go through their processes, because at the end of the day, the person who most likely is gonna fix a problem on campus is the actual principal. I gotta give them a shot before I'm fixing it.
Great discussion, so I'm gonna say this for you typing it up, these notes are a little bit sketchy. So, money, we can control that through the budget. He cannot control time or the 89th session, but we have, which ones of these can you control? Misinformation attacks on public ed.
Cannot control that.
Community members.
Well, we can't control that.
Can't control that either.
Okay.
But here's the thing, I think, and it's also what you talked about, the good of a Vader, is the control is that as we adjust our talks, like, you know, when I give state of the district, I may look to, like, when I'm at the chamber and give a state of the district, I may look at what we've just gone through, and what stories do I tell? What is this year's version? Because every year's version is designed for what we need, what story we need to tell in the moment. And so right now, that may be one of the stories that we want to tell, so how do we tell it, you know? But that's how we have limited control, but it's almost like it's our piece of how.
To a parent, then have them give the speech back to you, so that you,
They translate it?
so they translate it, so that you know exactly what they're hearing and whether or not it's,
Everybody doesn't speak Joe?
yeah. As good as, you know, I mean, we're not a great judge because we do kind of speak Joe, but, you know, just for the,
You know, now that that Vader's passed, maybe it'd be a good idea for the district to think about, if you are out, about what we're able to do now. Because we have the Vader pass.
Well, and like,
Here are some
they
things that
put a couple things in their thank you. Right now, so we're gonna combine bond and Vader and show everybody, here's what's going on, here's your investment. And
Ready the budget-wise site, so you can just add a new slide to the budget-wise slide that says, you know, Vader money.
As a result of.
Mhm.
can that
Your vote.
speech be
Totally.
Yeah.
professionally recorded and added to the website?
that's not
So here's what I put.
Because the people who are gonna be in the room already supported us, for the most part, you know,
Now,
the chamber folks.
I know that's the only thing is, some of those have been really good, but that's such a friendly audience.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not as
Well,
powerful.
and even if you tried to do it again and, you know, open it to the public, you'd still get the same, you know,
Oh, no.
five people that came
Well,
to the Vader meeting.
I remember the 2018 bond, I remember Steve's like, I think Jim Griffin has seen this presentation 20 times.
Control the legislature or funding shortfalls. Can you control moving away from the strategic plan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, how?
Well, I think we,
That's why I put the agenda as the driver. If it's not on the agenda, we're not talking about it. If it's something we want to talk about, we have to put it on the agenda.
Okay, great. So agenda is the driver, perfect. Then these barriers, unfunded mandates, no politics, no state, no funding, no. Clear
We can
communication.
handle the no politics internally,
Oh, talk about that.
and that's our own decision amongst each one. Like they're supposed to, but, you know, it'd be real easy for someone to join the board and decide to get very political. You could go the whole balance route.
Okay. So you can, and then, the clear communication, not getting to everyone, is there anything you can do about that?
Well,
I think that's a continuous improvement.
but I mean, like Matt said, is there a way to translate it? Becky, going back to the budget wise, I mean, there's, as we see issues, how can we address those issues, and we'd be willing to continue to look for different ways to address it and communicate.
I think it works real well. It works well for us, like in my business, the technician, instead of the technician always calling the customer, telling them what's wrong, you know, we kind of moved more to the technician calls the operations manager, who is not technical, explains.
Okay, and we're down to previous experience in managing people's needs. Can we control it? Yeah,
First one.
yeah, so, kind of what we talked about, is one of these others reminded me, just, this one, the one-off, kind of just the being disciplined, fact check, those kind of
I
go
was gonna say, I
together.
thought we talked about it, but
Yeah,
again, we
it's
talked about
just
it
a
here
different-
when we got into one-offs, we talked about that.
And then, same with managing people's needs, right? Excellent. I've come up with some great conversation and great actionable items. So Ty's gonna get that all fixed up for us, so thank you, Ty. So, we are at the end of our time, and I wanna say thank you. And, kind of as your exit ticket is, you can either tell me your 5 priorities,
conversations about, you know, the way we do things, which is that we're always open to getting, even though we believe we are a high-functioning board, we're always willing to talk about ways to continue to be better. And not really in a judgmental kind of way, but in a continuous improvement kind of way.
fantastic, yeah.
I didn't think that Julie would ever cheat on anything. My other aha,
Series of action.
my other aha is,
But he didn't mind because you're on this team.
Yeah, hey, listen.
had a little bit of say in there, and they're learning how we do things and why we do.
Much experience.
Most experience.
It's really good.
Thank you, Julie, for the 12 weeks.
One thing I want to mention is the power of using Lydia
For sure.
to do this, because, no, Lydia was able to customize this to us because she knows us, she knows the district, she knows the plan. Guys, there's districts all over the state doing a team of 8 that have hired a CAN program.
Yep.
And somebody they never met before and never met them came in and delivered a prepared PowerPoint. And they may have picked up a couple things and had great conversation, but Lydia can take us to a different level
Yep.
with her knowledge of us, and I think that's a huge advantage for us.
I think it's
Sure.
great that we have.
Whole thing is that this community has been here for a very long time, and there are a lot of solid people in this community. And we are really. And if things seem like one-offs and, you know, somebody's crying, whatever, it's probably because they're passionately involved in wanting to make sure that things continue to be
Well,
really good.
they care.
Yeah,
It
really.
matters. That's
It
why
matters.
we talk about the power of hiring alumni. It's just one more level of it matters.
And to me, anytime we have a meeting like this, it's always, it really feels like a team, and it feels like there's always respect in the room, and people listen to each other, and we actually listen to each other and care about what each other think, and try to figure out, okay, how can we work that idea that you just said into my overall thinking about how to make the full board.
You're asking some questions, and then you stop, and you look, and Becky leans and she goes, yeah, he's got one more question.